Hey guys, how you doing? This is Ricardo Mitchell and welcome back to Operation Floodgates. I'm here with another 7-minute message and we're going to continue the discussion on peace. Last episode we discussed the relationship with Christ as the source of peace, supported by the titles ascribed to him in Isaiah 9:6. His name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Having identified peace as a spiritual resource, then relationship with God as the source of this resource, the next step is to help you harness it. We did the what, we did the where, so now let's look at some how. The most important step is to ask for help. According to Psalm 121 verse 2, my help cometh from the Lord, which made heaven and earth. So to me, the best solution is always to go back to the manufacturer. I grew up in a household where the Serenity prayer was all over the place. I only really understood it as I got older, but I will share some of that with you today before we move on. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. The most important thing is to acknowledge God and ask for his input. God grant me. The serenity, being that peace, that stillness, is not abstract. It is with a purpose. It is to allow me the opportunity to assess the situation, to accept the things that I cannot change, then to ascribe a response to it, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. A scriptural example is in Mark chapter 4 verses 37 to 40. And there arose a great storm of wind, and the waves beat into the ship, so that it was now full. And he was in the hinder part of the ship, that being Jesus, asleep on a pillow. And they, the disciples, awake him and say unto him, Master, carest thou not that we perish? He arose and rebuked the wind and said unto the sea, Peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. And he said unto them, Why are ye so fearful? How is it that ye have no faith? Now, I just want to acknowledge that the Lord said unto the wind and to the sea, Peace, be still. He didn't speak to the disciples and say, Peace, be still. He spoke into the conditions. He addressed the problem where it lay. Not with who was affected by it, but the problem where it lay. And that is interesting. And again, example that peace is a tangible spiritual resource. He commanded peace onto his environment. That is still such an amazing thing. Anyway, Matthew chapter 14 verses 28 to 32. Peter answered him, and there's another example. Peter answered him and said, Lord, if it be thou, bid me come unto thee on the water. Now this is where Jesus is walking on the water in the middle of a storm, and he's approaching the boat. Now there's something that I want to get into, but that is going to come up, I guess, in another chat. It's about the timing that this happened in. We'll move on. We'll get to that in due time, God willing. You all will keep tuning in and listening. Bid me come unto thee on the water. And he said, Come. And when Peter was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. So Peter walked on the water. But when he saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried, saying, Lord, save me. And immediately Jesus stretched forth his hand and caught him, and said unto him, O thou of little faith, wherefore did thou doubt? And when they were come into the ship, the wind ceased. The interesting thing with this is that Peter was already walking on the water. The waves were still churning, the water was still boisterous. Peter was walking on the water, and it was still stormy. He wasn't walking on calm water, he was walking on water in the midst of the storm. In one situation, Jesus was with them, and in the other, he was already on his way. They cried out to him, and he replied. Now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. If faith is belief and validation in things we don't yet see or have, then a lack of faith means we only believe what we see. Peter, in a moment of faithful peace, walked on water in the storm. When he believed more in what the storm was than in who he was and who was with him, he became subject to the storm again. A lack of peace is a reflection of a lack of faith. If you want peace, have faith. In the storm, you could ask God. You could ask God for a moment. You could ask God for that help. You will sometimes feel a physiological response to your situation. Your heart races, your blood pressure will go up, there'll be anxiety, there'll be fear, there'll be anger. But you could ask God for a moment of serenity to assess the situation and apply your faith. If you have to count to 10, walk away, hold back that venomous response, even if you're right. But practice the pause and ask the Lord to help you gather your peace as you decide to believe in the help from the Lord more than in the storm. Remember what Philippians 4:6-7 said in the first episode. Be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication, that is, ask, with thanksgiving, give thanks, acknowledge the Lord's greatness, let your requests be made known unto God, and the peace of God which passeth all understanding shall keep your hearts and minds through Jesus Christ. Peace beyond understanding. We can have peace even when conditions and circumstances don't reasonably allow for it. If you want peace, have faith. Ask the Lord to come through for you. Jesus comes through for you. Pray. In the moment, pray. You don't have to drop to your knees in the middle of an argument and ask the Lord to bless you, but you can turn your thoughts to Him. It takes an instant to acknowledge the Lord in a challenging situation. Maybe one of these days I'll tell you some of the stories of the Lord speaking to me in challenging situations. But this first step in harnessing peace is to pray. Thank you for listening. If you got any benefit whatsoever from this, please feel free to share, subscribe, like, do as you're so inclined and as the Spirit moves you. You could also check out Operation Floodgates on Facebook and Instagram for different content, sometimes from different contributors as well. God bless, have a great day, and most importantly, don't say I say, see what the Bible says. Take care.